Navigating in the SAP window. Once you have successfully logged on to an SAP system, you can start performing various tasks. To do this efficiently, you have to be familiar with the basic navigation features. So let's understand these navigation features in SAP system. Contents that are covered in this topic are user guidance, user-specific settings, navigation in SAP Easy Access menu, and help. Some of the learning targets at the end of this chapter are name the window elements, understand SAP Access menu, navigate in an SAP system, call a transaction in SAP, add favorite transactions, display technical name of transaction, apply personal system settings, effectively use help, restrict report output using multiple selection criteria, make changes to user profile settings, and create desktop shortcuts. The SAP Logon menu can be thought of as a one-stop shopping store where end users can choose from logon icons, logon groups, or create new logon icons. Logon icons will log a user onto one specific application server. A logon group will log the user onto one of several application servers depending on which one has the best performance statistics. SAP Logon Pad is used to configure the SAP server. The SAP GUI, or Graphic User Interface, is used to connect the local machine to the SAP system. Login procedure in SAP is launch the SAP Logon Pad or SAP GUI. Double-click on the application server, which you need to connect, from the SAP Logon Pad. The SAP Logon screen appears. On the SAP Logon screen, the value of the default client appears automatically. If you want to log on to a different client, then change it with the new client number. Next, enter the user ID and password assigned to you. Enter EN in language to log on to the English settings. Generally, the language is defaulted to EN for any other language depending on the country or users and installed languages. So, for English as the logon language, you need not have to enter it in the SAP Logon screen, as it takes its values from the default settings. After filling up the 4 fields, press Enter to log on to the SAP system. The following screen appears once you log in. The screen has many standard screen attributes and navigation options to different applications. We will discuss all these in subsequent chapters. Click on System from the menu bar and choose Log Off. You can also log off by clicking the Log Off button at the upper right corner of the screen. When you log off, a message pops up stating, "Unsaved data will be lost. Do you want to log off?" Click Yes if you have already safely posted or saved the transactions you are working on. Before we proceed any further, the first step to learn SAP is to become familiar with SAP navigation. These areas are divided into 6 different categories. These are Menu Bar, Standard Toolbar, Title Bar, Application Toolbar, Command Field, and Status Bar. Let's understand these areas a little deeper. Number 1. The Menu Bar. Once you have logged on to the application, the initial menu screen appears. All the menus are displayed in the menu bar. The menus that appear in the menu bar vary according to the task you are doing in the R3 system. Therefore, you will see different menus as you work on different tasks. System and help menus are always available on every screen in the R3 system. The system menu contains functions that affect the system as a whole, such as create session, end session, user profile, or log off options. The help menu contains functions for accessing various forms of online support. In order to determine what function an icon represents on the toolbar, place the cursor on the icon if it is enabled, and a floating box will appear with text and a unique function key used to identify the icon. Number 2. The Standard Toolbar. Standard Toolbar is located second from the top and directly below the menu bar. It contains Command Field and other standard toolbar buttons. Standard toolbar buttons provide quick access to SAP functions such as Enter to continue, save, back, exit, system task, cancel, print, create new session, create shortcut, help, customize local layout, find, advanced search, and other icons mainly used during reporting, for example, first page, previous page, next page, last page, and etc. If a toolbar button is gray, it is not available for use on that particular screen. Number 3, the title bar. In between the standard toolbar and the application toolbar lies the title bar. It is used to display the name of the screen or application you are accessing. The title bar is dynamic and changes from application to application. Number 4, the application toolbar. The application toolbar is located directly below the screen title. It contains buttons that duplicate functions available from the menu bar, but provides quicker access to some of the most commonly used functions for the current screen and system task. The buttons available in the application toolbar changes from application to application as per the design, so they are not constant. Number 5, the command field. Command field is used to enter the transaction codes that direct to a system task or application without using menu paths. Command field can be opened and closed by using the icon on the right of the command field. To call a transaction in a window, you can execute in the command field. Using SM35 as a transaction or T code to call a transaction in the same session, you can type in /NSM35 in the command field. To call a transaction in the same session whereby the initial screen is skipped, you can type in /*SM35 in the command field. To call a transaction in an additional session, you can type in /OSM35 in the command field. To end the current transaction, you can type in /N in the command field. To delete the current session, you can type in /I in the command field. To generate a session list, you can type in /O in the command field. To end the current transaction and return to the starting menu, you can enter /NSOOO in the command field. To log off from the system, you can enter /NEND in the command field. To log off from the system without a confirmation prompt, you can enter /NEX in the command field. The status bar is located at the bottom of the SAP screen. It displays important system messages such as errors and completion of transactions. It also displays other session information such as system, the server in which you have logged in, client, the client database you are accessing, and user, the user ID with which you have logged in. Of the 5 types of messages, only 3 are displayed in the status bar. Let's take a look and understand them. In SAP, 3 types of messages will appear on the status bar. 1. Success message, which is green. 2. A warning message, which is yellow. Or 3. An error message, which is red. It is very important for us to understand the meaning of these error messages before we proceed any further. The success message comes upon success. A tick mark with a green background is displayed. For example, when you save a journal entry or hit enter. The warning message is displayed with an exclamation sign and a yellow background, which indicates there are warnings, but you can still proceed with an enter. The error message is some event which halts the system and the work cannot be proceeded any further. An error message is displayed by means of exclamation sign with a red background. Red is a serious message and cannot be ignored. The navigation area is referred to as the area in the SAP menu where user menu and favorites folders and their subfolders are located. Under the navigation area, you will find the 3 folders. Favorites are created by the users according to their preferences. All the transaction codes which the users have access to and use in regular day-to-day activities are usually added to this folder. The SAP user menu. Content or the transaction codes in this menu are derived according to the roles and authorization given to a particular user. All the transaction codes specifying a particular role given to a user will appear in the user menu. SAP standard menu, which is derived via roles and authorizations. The SAP Easy Access screen is also known as an SAP user menu. After logging into the SAP system, the first screen appears in SAP Easy Access. SAP menu folder enables a user to work on the SAP system according to the roles and authorization provided by the administration. The menu folder contains 2 main folders and 8 subfolders. The 2 main folders of SAP user menu are Favorites and SAP menu. And the 8 containing subfolders are Office, Cross-Application Components, Logistics, Accounting, Human Resource, Information System, Tools, and Web Client User Interface Framework. Either you type in a transaction code in the command field or you access these subfolders to find the relevant transaction. A transaction code or T-code is a 4-character command that tells the system location of a task. Each SAP screen has a unique transaction code. A transaction code may contain only letters such as ZSTM or a combination of letters and numbers such as SE38. The SAP menu screen, which is the general screen delivered standard with SAP, it displays at least 3 main menu folders: the User menu, Other role, and Favorites. The User menu contains the role folders and is personalized with your name, whereas as the Other role icon is the Area menu, such as AAA Infobase, which contains transactions specific for that particular role. Remember, you can have more than one role folder depending on which area menus you are authorized to use. In SAP, various categories with user interface elements or UI elements are available for creating your interface layout and field selection. Some of these are input fields, checkbox, radio buttons, tabs, press buttons, and etc. These user interface elements support general user interactions and screen display within an application. The UI elements enable the quick and simple design of user-friendly application user interfaces, regardless of the platform and the front end. At this stage, we don't need to get into too much detail. All we need to know at this stage is, these are the input fields depending on the transaction we are in. Some input may appear as a checkbox, while others might require us to key in a particular value. As part of SAP Initiative, user interface of some of the transactions are completely redesigned and simplified within the framework of the Enjoy SAP Initiative. The purpose of this redesign was to facilitate an accelerated and more intuitive use of various functionalities, particularly on the part of the occasional user, as a major step towards optimizing the processes within an enterprise. Just to show it to you, this is a screenshot of an old SAP transaction where header data, position overview, and position details were displayed on a separate screen. Whereas this new screen layout outlines the new user-friendly design in procurement process or purchase order within Materials Management module. As of an earlier release, users have the option of working with a role-based menu. Such a user-specific menu is usually restricted to those activities an employee needs to perform the tasks for which he or she is responsible. This approach considerably simplifies, thus also speeding up, user interaction with the system. The effect of this is an increased degree of acceptance, particularly among inexperienced users. In the Enjoy transactions, SAP has combined various screens in a same layout, such as this purchase order, which contains header data, position overview, and position detail in the same transaction, ME23N. The Enjoy transactions are usually 5 digits and contain letter N in the end of the transaction. The user calls a help text for the selected columns using the F1 function key. Several types of help are available in the SAP system. The most frequently used ones are the F1 and F4 keys. F1 provides you with explanations for fields, menus, functions, and messages. In the F1 help, you can choose to get technical information, whereas F4 gives you information and possible entries. You can also use the F4 help by choosing directly right of a selected field. The Help menu contains more help. Choose Application Help for context-sensitive help on the transaction you are currently using. Choose SAP Library to open the online SAP library. You can find it on the internet at help.sap.com. Choose Glossary to open the extensive glossary of SAP terminology. In SAP Easy Access, you can create a list of favorites containing transactions, files, and web addresses. In the Easy Access menu, right-click on Favorites folder, go to Insert Transaction, key in the transaction code, and it will be added to your favorites. Another way of adding a transaction to your Favorites folder is by going into the transaction itself using the subfolders. Right-click on a transaction and select Add to Favorites, and that particular transaction will be added to your favorites. Remember, favorites are a user-specific list, although you can import and export favorites using an option from the menu bar. The quickest way to run a transaction in the SAP system is to enter the transaction code. Every transaction has a code, which generally has 4 characters, but sometimes the transaction code is not being displayed. To make these transaction codes appear, make the following settings. Select Extra from the menu bar, go to Setting or press Shift plus F9 shortcut key, and select the last option from the pop-up Display Technical button. Hit the green check button and the transaction names will appear. You can also search for transactions or transaction codes in the SAP system using transaction search_SAP_menu. Choose a text you would like to search for in the SAP Easy Access menu, such as MM03, the transaction code to display a material master, and click on the green check icon. The search results are displayed in a list containing your text query. The transaction code and path in the SAP Easy Access menu can be found through this search option. In SAP, there are various transaction icons, and each icon means something. But remember, if you are not sure what a particular icon in SAP means, don't panic. Use the F4 search key and a list of possible answers, including their meaning, will pop up. Suppose you are running a particular purchase order report for the last 2 to 3 years. You can imagine how huge this report is going to be. So to restrict your output result, SAP provides you a multi-selection screen. Simply click on the right arrow key icon on a particular field, such as material, and you can specify either a single material or a range of materials, and the output will be restricted based on the selection you provided. Defaults are set when an SAP user profile is created. Most of these you should not change unless your business position or location has changed. It is important that the user defaults are correct in SAP, as SAP uses them in a number of reports and business transactions. However, when it comes to user profile owned data, both system administrators and individual users can edit user data. The system administrator can edit all data. Users can edit the following user data, such as password, constants, addresses, and parameters. If for some reason you are seeing a decimal point instead of a comma in a value, this means you will have to come to this menu and change your parameters style from German to English. SAP allows you to create a shortcut of a transaction on your desktop. Click on Generate a Shortcut icon, follow the instructions, and in no time you will see a shortcut on your local machine. We now hope that you are familiar with SAP, and you are now able to name the window elements, understand SAP Access menu, navigate in an SAP system, call a transaction in SAP, add favorites transaction, display technical name of transaction, apply personal system settings, effectively use help, restrict report output using multiple selection criteria, make changes to user profile settings, and create desktop shortcuts. See you in the next topic.